Hey, we're live. Episode number 280.
We are live and we are alive.
Yeah. 10 a.m.
10
on
a.m.
Wednesday.
Guess who's coming to town?
Yeah. Well, ain't Santa Claus yet. We got another 6-8 weeks for that. So
Stores are already Santa Claus.
Oh, they've been getting that way for the last couple weeks. And today I did a quick shop this morning for one of my good regulars. And the Halloween stuff is very minimal. It's funny as people were like, in the last couple of years, like, oh, if they got anything like half off, whatever. This year, it's even less than before because the stores have gotten smart about, one, getting stuff out a little earlier. Number two is they only pretty much order what they want to have. They want to sell out a week or so before the holiday. And that's about where they were at with Halloween, was about a week and a half prior to. They were almost out of all the big bags, all the regular stuff. There was just a few things sitting around like candy corn, a few things that people just don't buy tons of. But I know people are looking for stuff, and I was like, they ain't got it.
I was also reading for these holidays like Halloween, Christmas, and those things. Because of what happened the last 2 years, a lot of stores didn't order much new stuff, and they were going off of old inventories to clear stuff out from last year and the year before, because there was much less turnout than, because we were getting through everything at the time. So I was reading there was a lot of back inventory.
Yeah, I could see that for decorations, things like that, little tchotchkes, whatever. For candy and that, of course, there's expiration dates and things like that, so they can only go so far with that.
Yeah.
But I it's like even now though, the only thing they had left at the store I was at today is a lot of the pumpkin carving kits with the orange stuff, the safety ones and things like that. A couple of other side things. Pretty much all the stuff that nobody really wants anyway. So that stuff they're going to mark down to like already at 50%. They'll eventually get it to 90% to clear it out, and then they'll just destroy it if they don't do anything with it. But yeah, there was stuff I recognized over the last couple of years going, okay, I think this has been around in their warehouse for a while, and they held back knowing that they needed to put it back out because it's just sitting there. So fun stuff on that. But
fun stuff.
We got a fun show today. We're going to talk a little House of Dragon. We meant to do that last week. I caught up in a lot of other talk, and then get into a couple other little fun things. Probably won't get much of Andor in today. We'll talk a little bit, but I think we need to hold off because some things are going on in Andor that I think we'll want to wait a little bit and cover them all together because they all kind of tie in together right now. So, but I've been enjoying that. I watched today's episode and I look forward to next week's. So it should be pretty good. I mean, I like the intrigue they're doing, and also, even though it's a Star Wars, it doesn't necessarily feel fully Star Wars.
And I love that they're telling a story in a way that is expanding the universe. Like we're seeing how imperial prisons are run and how they utilize prisoners. And I believe those components that they're manufacturing, I think it's the end of the TIE fighter. Like on the wing, there's like this little like X looking thing that holds the wing on. I think that's what the component they're making is for the for the TIE fighters.
Yeah, I've been wondering if it was something like that or if it was tied into like walkers or sort of vehicles like that. Because they're big giant things they're bolting on, and they all do the same thing, but it's like they have multiple different facets. It's this is a labor camp, basically. It's on a planet that looks like you can't even. It looks like the where they're on the prison is floating. So
I think they're just doing such a great job, and they're telling a great story, but expanding. Like we see the imperial prison when they were flying in and all that stuff last week. So I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes, and we'll expand on it more in future weeks.
And they got Andy Serkis in there, which is pretty cool. He's a good actor.
Yeah. He really is. You know, that guy, talk about somebody who really really forged his path. He would have been an unknown, but he really was a visionary in how motion capture worked and became an expert at that at a time where it was exploding. And that got him into so many major things. And then he was able to transition into acting with his actual face instead of CGI faces and stuff. And so very brilliant.
First time I really saw him was in the movie 13 Going on 30. He played the boss with Jennifer Garner when she was a 13-year-old became a 30-year-old, that time travel type movie. And that's the first time I really saw him in that. And he was a good actor. I mean, but I knew him as Gollum, and he'd done a bunch of other stuff and been around other things. Now he's really popped up through some of the Marvel stuff. Stole some stuff from Wakanda. He's actually kind of buffed up a little bit too from those days, because he used to be quite thin.
Yeah. What's amazing is like I saw him in an interview not too long ago. It might be an older interview. I think it was when he was like promoting Wakanda or something, the first Black Panther movie. But they asked him to do the voice of Gollum, and he went right into the role. They wanted him to do an introduction in the voice of Gollum and Smeagol, and
Yeah.
he just is so seamless going back and forth between Smeagol and Gollum. And but what's so bizarre is even though that's a CGI character, they did all the capture of his facial expression. So when he's doing the voice, you can see that character. All the facial expressions were perfectly translated. So it's really interesting.
Oh yeah, he really embodied that character.
All voice actors, I love watching how they work and stuff like that. But anyway.
Yeah, there's I've always enjoyed that over. That's why I like to meet a lot of them at the Comic Cons. Those are the people I like to meet most as some of the voice actors. But there's been different things out there for the years, like behind the scenes stuff I've seen. It's always fun watching them do the voices live and not actually on the from the animation part. So, but there's a Mark Hamill movie you can find on DVD, and it's called Comic Book the Movie, and it's basically it showcases a lot of voice actors in that. So definitely check that out.
Cool
So,
stuff.
but hey, let's knock out some quick stuff here. We got Loringer Family Chiropractic Center PC, located in Belleville, Michigan and Dexter, Michigan. They take great pride in providing the finest chiropractic care to each and every patient, offering on-site digital x-rays, massage therapy, orthotics by foot levelers, young living essential oils, aromatherapy, full line of vitamins, all in a family-oriented environment. Give them a call, 734-697-4244. Visit them online at LoringerFamilyChiropractic.com or right here on the Book of Faces Facebook. And you can find them Loringer Family Chiropractic Center PC. Just Google it in the search the Facebook button there. You can do the call now, like them, send them a message. And of course, you can find all the fun services they do there. And I think we mentioned this last week. It was Dr. Lisa's birthday the other week. So they don't update a lot of posts on here. So they're not flooding the Facebook stream with stuff. But they definitely will answer your questions if you give them a call. If you need some help finding a good chiropractor in your area. If you're not in the Southeast Michigan, Northwest Ohio area.
There you go. Yeah, give them a call. They do great work.
Yeah.
So your back will thank you for it.
And the rest of your body too. Right? It's not just your back; it's everything. So
we need to do a video for them with Schwarzenegger. Like, I'll be back. Somehow work that into it or something.
Probably. I bet you Schwarzenegger's use chiropractic care. I know a lot of athletes do. So
they do. For sure. Yep. So also we have Team Titans Real Estate. Why? Because you matter. That's right. Even though we utilize latest in tools and technology to maximize your home buying experience, we never forget it. At the core, it's a people buying experience. Everyone keeps asking me, Scott, what's happening with the market? Let me tell you. Here's some updated data. We are now in November. You see a downward trend there. So what this is showing, I just want to show everybody is this shows the last 10 years of activity for number of closings. So, back in January 2012, that's when things were really bad and we were starting to come out of that bad area. Actually, I could go to all the way back. Let's see, maximum years. So we have the closings that were happening here. Then things started getting bad. And then we had prices just plummet. And then the market started picking back up. Then things started getting strong. We started having a lot of closings. So I'm showing you this to put things in perspective. Right here is where the shutdown happened. So we had a dip in sales because of our shutdown from COVID in 2020. Then they went up. Now, when you look at it close up, I'll do the last 3 years. We had the dip. Then we recovered. And then we went high. We had our craziness that happened over the last year where just closings went through the roof. And now we've been seeing a decrease. So as of right now, we don't have enough data to know, is this a downward trend or are we just returning to our new normal, which is down here? Okay. But if you look in light of the whole big picture, this is where I'm showing you this because I don't want people to panic. Even though we're seeing this big downward trend, in light of the market as a whole, we're way above still what used to happen. So we're still double from what it was back in 2006, 2007, 2003. So we have a long ways to drop before it's a crisis. So it's important to point that out because the media likes to, everything is like doom and gloom, the sky is falling and all that. Inflation is a real problem. What's happening in our market's a real problem. People's spending power is a real problem right now. That is all factual. We are having an rate increase hike coming. They're expecting 0.75% on the prime interest rate. They're expecting mortgage rates to go up up to about 8% is what they're projecting in a few weeks after that. It's usually a lagging number from the prime rate. So buying power is going to decrease, and that is going to affect the market. So all this just to say, we're not in a place to panic right now. There's nothing indicating the bottom is falling out. Time will tell whether that's true or not. But what is good is if you are a buyer who has had to sit out these last 2 years because the market got so insane, and you only bought a house if you had 40,000 cash sitting around to overbid. The good news is the pendulum is swinging. It is now going back into a more balance between the seller and buyer. Before, the seller had all the power, and they were able to get everything free from the buyer. That's going away. If it's a really good property, they're still getting bidding wars, but it's more even field now. So it's a great time for you to come back. And if you are somebody who needs to buy something in the next 3, maybe 6 months, give me a call now, because if we get your search started right away and get you pre-approved right away and find you a house right away, we can get you locked in at your current interest rate before it goes up to the 8%. So that's the key. You want to be ahead of the curve if you have to buy something in the next 1, 2, 3 months. Well, we can help you out there. So give us a call, 586-232-5144, and Jill and I will take good care of you.
Wow, that's all changed. Sorry, I've got someone here. Let me just answer this text real quick.
Well, while you're doing that, I'm going to give an update on the Kickstarter.
Good.
So we've got our Crimson Shadows Kickstarter, and I have a great announcement to make regarding that. So I went hard to work today. I have my degrees in accounting, so I got out that accounting pencil, sharpened it up, and really dug deep into the numbers. And I found a way of creating 2 more stretch goals to share with everyone. So we hit the magic number of 50 backers today. So I was able to create 2 new stretch goals that are based upon number of backers. Let me go to the full stretch goal list, which is way down here for the full list. The top has the current stuff. Okay. So we've already unlocked the free Bardstone sticker at 2,000. Then we unlocked at just under 2,500. We unlocked the mini print. And now at 50 backers, we unlocked the bookmark. So right now, it's 1 random bookmark out of my 5 different bookmarks. That's an $8 value. So if you have an order of $25 or more, not counting shipping, and that can be any combination of rewards and add-ons, $25 worth of order, this is $8 in free rewards added to your order already. So you're getting $33 worth of product for $25. If we unlock all of these, that's a $30 of value in stretch goals. So you're going to get $55 worth of product for $25. But we got to hit those goals. So right now we've unlocked the 50, the 2,500, and the 2,000. Our next goal will be the Brett Pinson mini print. That's at 3,000. We're only about $400 away from that. We can do that. Then we'll probably unlock the Kevin Meinert mini print. And then right around then we'll be around 100 backers where we unlock the second random bookmarker. And then the other 2 mini prints. So this is our goal. If we can hit 4,500 and 100 backers, we're going to have $30 worth of stretch goals to add at no extra charge to you. So that'll be an awesome thing. So to do that, please share our links. Go there, back it yourself. Let your friends know about it. Let me post in the become a backer. Let's see. Let's paste that in there. Okay, so we got that going up, the link in the comments. So go check it out. Tell all your friends about it. We have 8 days to go. Don't wait till the 8th day, because the more people back it now, the more encouraged other people like to follow successful things. So if people start seeing us hitting $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, more people will want to get involved. So go back it, check it out. It's a great product. You won't regret it.
Yep. Enjoying working on it. So, hey, we've got a new trailer that dropped. I don't know if you saw this. I haven't watched it yet. It is A Christmas Story Christmas.
I have not seen this.
The new sequel starring Peter Billingsley as an adult now, who was the kid in the original Christmas Story.
Who you might know as Ralphie.
And he is Ralphie, still playing Ralphie. So
he's also the lead elf, isn't he? In Elf?
In Elf, yes, he is. And he's a director, too. He's directed several movies and different things over the years. So let's take a look at this.
Oh, life moves fast. One day you're playing kick the can with kids named Flick and Schwartz.
I triple dog dare you!
And the next thing you know, you're a certified adult.
Ralph, dear old man.
Fragile.
He was the best.
Ralphie, promise me we're gonna make this a wonderful Christmas. That would make your father so happy.
I promise. What had I done? And now it was all up to me?
I suggest you start drinking and don't stop till New Year's.
Hey, kids, who wants to go see Santa?
This is amazing! Incredible!
We will meet you right here when you're done.
Don't let him kick you in the face.
It's the happy season.
Now,
When it's just us decorating, it kind of feels like child labor.
Honey, it's not labor if we don't pay you.
Yeah.
Cheers.
There'll be much mistletoe.
My dad made this all look so easy.
When loved ones are near.
That doesn't mean it was easy.
Most wonderful time of the year.
Schwartz, I triple dog dare you.
Oh, I got it now.
That's brutal.
It's the most wonderful time.
Slowly, I could feel the Christmas ember beginning to glow again.
Here.
That looks great.
That's gonna be a fun sequel. They did a sequel. They've done a couple sequels to the original one.
Yeah, we
And
call
it
that
was
one
doing-
"He Who Shall Not Be Named."
No, it was no. I'm serious. They did a couple sequels out. Gene Shepard, who was the original narrator, is also the writer, and it's based on his life. And he did a summer story one, which was just okay. They did
Nobody
another.
really cared about that one.
They did another Christmas one in the '90s, and again, it was also based on. It just didn't have the same magic.
Yeah.
And I think this does a little more.
Yeah.
I believe.
I think
Gene
this is
Shepard
going to be the
passed, though.
definitive sequel. This one.
Yeah, it's yeah. So I think it's definitely gonna work out.
I'm looking forward to it. I love that trailer. That totally felt like it captured the feel and everything of the original. I love it. I have to watch it every year.
That is and that's all three of the kids they show as adults. That's the same actors.
Well, I think they showed Farkas in there too. So
Scott Farkas, I'm hoping they do. It's Zach Ward, all these guys are gonna be in it. So it is, as far as I can tell.
Was that the same mom or is that a different mom?
That's what I was looking for.
I think that's a different actress.
I'm not sure. So I don't. I'm looking up the thing right now, and I don't really see much. But so we'll have to check that out. But yeah, it is. Zach Ward plays Officer Scott Farkas.
Oh, he's an officer now.
Yeah, which makes sense. So
love it.
And then Ian Petrella is Randy, and he was the original Randy. That's the younger brother. Like Scott Schwartz is playing Flick. So, and then RD Rob plays Schwartz. And
it is the same actress.
Same actor in that one. He was the same actor. And then
for the mom, I think it's the same one.
I think so. Yeah. There's that's the current wife. And then Julie Haggerty is she would have been I'm pretty sure she was.
I think that's who played in the original. I'm trying to find it.
Yeah.
When was A Christmas Story done?
That's what I was looking for.
I think in the 80s.
Yeah, it was in the 80s. No, maybe that's not her. I think it's someone else. Oh, she played Elaine Dickinson on Airplane. So she was the flight attendant. That's
why
she
she
is.
looks so familiar.
Yep. So it's a different different mom on that one. So
okay.
And,
it looks great.
And Peter Billingsley did work on the screen story, so he had a hand in it. But he's been producing a lot over the years, and then he's done some directing, some writing. So he's definitely still heavily involved in creating of films and things like that. And he worked with Favreau, like with Elf and stuff like that, and even on a few other things. So I mean, he's done some things with them. So definitely, I'm looking forward to this. I love the trailer. I saw the teaser a while back, but and that came out. First one came out in '83.
Here it is. Melinda Dylan played the mom.
Yep. She's still alive, but she was in Close
She was
Encounters of the Third
born.
Kind.
Yeah, she was born in 1939, so she'd
80s.
be yeah. So it might be she just couldn't do it.
Well, it
you
looked
know?
like this one's set in the 60s.
Oh, okay. So she's too old to be set in the 60s.
Where and maybe or late 60s, but this one, the original one was set in the 40s.
Okay.
So that's part of the difference, I think, there, because we've already gone 40 something years. So
right.
And I think he's playing a little bit younger than he probably is even in real life, because he's born the same year I was, 71. So
yeah.
But
so
yeah, I liked it.
Youngin.
Can't wait to see it. And it's gonna be on HBO Max. So if you got HBO Max, you'll be able to check it out in about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And that'll be a fun little Christmas classic. I think it'll be neat. And I've met Scott Schwartz. So he's a good actor, and it's nice to see him back playing Flick, and then seeing the other guys. And it's be curious to see how many other people pop in that we recognize from the original, because there's a lot of the different kids, but looks like they got most of them back. So
that's awesome.
That's be neat. So
I'm looking forward to it. That looks really good.
Yeah.
For sure.
So
good stuff. So this week, Jill and I watched a show called The Watcher on Netflix.
Oh, okay.
I thought I'd give a quick review of that. Brett hasn't seen it. I'm not going to go too in deep on this. Let me see if I can just pull up a screen for everyone to look at. Let's share this. I'm just grabbing something, whatever this is. I don't care about it enough to search the actual site.
Yeah.
So The Watcher, it's 7 episodes long. It's a mini series. The way they end it, they could do a second season if they want. We got, isn't that Stifler's mom?
Yes.
American
Jennifer. Jennifer.
Conley, Jennifer, I forget her last name, but she's in it. We got I always forget his name. He looks like if you took Brad Garrett and Ray Romano and merged them into one person, it's him. He also says people always think he's Brad Garrett from Everyone Loves Raymond. But it's an okay. The way this starts, the first 2 episodes is like, oh my God, this show is awesome. Can't wait to see how this goes. It's like this family buys this house, and there's all these like weird, suspicious neighbors, and this people start appearing in their house, and all kinds of weird stuff happens. And as it unfolds, you're trying to figure out who the Watcher is. They're getting these letters in the mail from someone called the Watcher, who seems to be spying on them, knows every detail of them, but also like overly loves the house and doesn't want them to make changes to the house, wants them to move out of the house, so on and so forth. So you're trying to figure out who it is. And they do a great job at the beginning of creating all these like sub stories and mysteries of who all these neighbors are. But then as it goes, I feel like one of 2 things. Either they had a cool concept, but never really figured out what the ending was before they started writing this, or this was really originally intended more as a movie, and then they had to stretch it out over 7 episodes and then create all these sub stories to fill in. Whatever the case, all these sub stories that were really intriguing, they don't do a good job of tying them together, I feel. Mm-hmm. And as the story goes on, you just start wishing that the Watcher would kill everyone in the family, so to put you, the viewer, out of your misery of watching it. So that's how I feel. I felt it was stupid. They started off strong, ended horribly. And if there is a season 2, which the way they end it, you definitely could, I don't think I'll even bother with it. So that's my review of it. If you're bored, go ahead, watch it. I didn't like the payoff at the end. I felt like it was like one of those murder mysteries on a train. I've done these before where they tell the story in such a way that at the end they could just choose whoever they want to be the guilty party, like playing Clue. Whoever's name gets drawn out of the hat is the guilty party at the end. I felt like that's what this was. Like they didn't really do a good job. They just, we'll make someone guilty at the end. So that's how I felt it went. But that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I saw it and it didn't really necessarily appeal to me. I kept looking at it, I was like, well, maybe. And I was like, I just read the what it said on Netflix or whatever. And I was like, it's just not grabbing me. And anymore, if it doesn't grab me right away, I don't want to waste any time watching it.
There's too much good televiation on.
Well, that's part of it
If you don't grab me, I'm gone.
And when I've got stuff, I feel like oh gosh, I've got a stack of books I'm trying to get through because I realized I need to start reading more because you get so caught up in watching stuff that you sometimes forget you need to read as well. And as I've been trying to do some more writing, I find that if I read, it helps the writing. And I always read stuff that's nothing like what I'm writing on. So that way, I've been reading a lot of biography stuff right now. Finished up the I think I mentioned I finished up the one from Tom Feldman played Draco. That was pretty good. I'm working on about halfway through the Don Bluth biography he put out that came out last month. So, and that's been interesting learning about his life. A lot of stuff I didn't know. I mean, stuff that he worked on, some things like that, but to find out where he came from as a kid, growing up Mormon, living in California, how he got into Disney originally. He talks a little bit about going on his mission, which come to find out back then, not everybody went on missions. So we ended up in Argentina. So that was kind of interesting in that. And then other stuff he did along the way too, like trying to put on some stage productions and things like that. And then working at Disney and leaving Disney ultimately to form Don Bluth Productions.
So for those watching, if you don't know the name Don Bluth, you'll know like Dragon's Lair, the video game. It was the first like cartoon video game. It was actually the first video game that used Laserdisc in it.
Yes. And that was a brand new technology then too.
Yeah. Which I loved playing the game, but hated it at the same time because I always died at the same point. Always.
The biggest problem with the console, but playing it on a stand-up thing was is funny. It tells you which way to hit the button or which way to move the joystick. So it's not a constant moving game. You have to be ready to go, but it's also sometimes things break after a while, and there's.
I always felt like there was a delay, and when I would move, and I'd be like, ah.
I own the game on like my Xbox, so I can play it on that. And I've played through it, and they also have the option of just watching it straight through. So, and then I like to play. That's one I liked. Number 2 was fun too because it's a different, same type of game but different story. So that was kind of neat on that, and different characters and like that. But yeah, all hand drawn animation. Was not digitally created. It was just a digital disc, which was precursors to CDs and of course Blu-rays, DVDs, things like that. So but yeah, so looking forward to finishing up that book and the rest of the story on him. So
here, just so people can see, this was groundbreaking at the time. I got the sound off, but
yeah, that's the iPhone version of it, but it's the exact same game, whether it's on your iPhone.
Oops, sorry. But here's the video. There's the cartoon animations. And it was so awesome. Those snakes always got me. I would never get far in the game. And like you said, it's almost like you had, those always got me. I always fell down there. I wonder how much money someone would have to spend to actually win the game for the first time.
I think it was designed to eat quarters. It really was. It just like a lot of the games back then, they were designed for you to lose. And if you got good, it was fine. But most of the time, it's just you see like the little up in the corner there on the screen, you can see the little arrows, and then left is the button. So that was the arrows were the joystick, and then the button is for the button. So of course that's an iPhone screen that you're looking at there. So of course that's how it does. I think it'd be harder on iPhone than the other stuff. So, but
I agree. Probably the best console would probably be something like an Xbox, the way the controller is.
Which is what I have it on, yeah. And
then they tried to do a sequel to this.
They did. They did Dragon's Lair 2.
But recently he did a Kickstarter 2 years ago. But it didn't. He needed a lot of money, and it didn't hit the goal. So there would have been another one. But I was so hoping that would happen. I donated to that, but it didn't happen.
Yeah. Let's see if I can find any information on. But yeah, it was. But they originally did Dragon's Lair 2, and then they did Space Ace. Done in the same way, and Space Ace was a lot of fun. So,
but it still was I always liked Dragon's Lair better. I don't know if it was the nostalgia. I like that better than Space Ace.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, what it was that he was trying to raise in 2015. It was a movie. It was Dragon's Lair.
Oh,
the movie.
That's what it was. Okay.
And they were going to do a feature length movie, and I really wish that's something they would have done. I think I donated to that one too. So
yeah, I donated to it, but with Kickstarter, it's all or nothing. So it didn't. Happen.
It was actually it was Indiegogo.
Oh, was it? Then he canceled it though, so he must have just canceled it outright then.
Yeah, when he realized they weren't going to get enough money.
Yeah.
and it was they raised like 730,000. They needed, I think, 5 million or something like
Something
that.
like that, yeah.
But yeah, it was So
you should have hired Bardstone to promote it on Kickstarter.
Well, and Dragon's Lair did get a short-lived Saturday morning cartoon in the 80s
Yes.
there, which was, I remember it being a lot of fun. I haven't watched it in years. I don't know if it holds up, but that was a lot of fun back then. But I love Don Bluth. I love this. I mean, their first movie was Secret in Nim, and it's a movie that I think he mentions in the book that if Walt had been alive longer, he probably would have came across it, and Disney would have made it. He talks a little bit about the changes they did in the book versus the movie, and it's definitely was a little darker than what Disney was doing, and the quality of it was a lot better at the time because Disney at the time was on the verge of bankruptcy. Now they own they own half the world, and Amazon owns the other half. But back then, they were just about dead in the water. And they were reusing animation because it talks about that. He was working on Robin Hood. And the guy that was executive over it, and I've heard people talk about this, and they just cheated. His budget is all it was. And they said, go to the archives, get this dance from Snow White and put it in there, but use our characters. And they basically draw over top of these already drawn stuff. So
FYI, if you own it and then you reproduce your own work, it's not cheating.
No. And that's not what I was getting at too.
No, I know, but people who say that, I'm saying.
Well, I've heard people talk about
they just reused it.
Well,
they own it.
Like, they did, and it was taken straight from the archives. And Disney from starting in the 60s, right before Walt died, and through the 70s and 80s, they did reuse a lot of animation. It's like but they were also running with skeleton crews compared to what they had before. So they were just trying to get stuff out there. And if you look, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that the stories were good. Robin Hood was always one of my favorites as an animated film, like that. But they didn't spend a lot of time on like they did back with the classics, all the way back with Pinocchio and Snow White and Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty. They were going as inexpensive as possible, and they were cranking out these movies for a fraction of what they normally would, just because they had to get them out there.
Well, that's what people got to understand too, is the average person doesn't understand the difference between art and commercial art. Yeah. Commercial art is about getting the product out there as cheap as possible so the masses can see it. Our books, for instance, we're trying hard to produce this at the best quality possible. But we also, if we were to treat every single panel as a masterpiece, it would take 20 years to produce one book. You have to move it along and produce it and move on and move on and move on. And you develop tricks and shortcuts. You might reuse the same background in multiple panels or zoom in or zoom out. There are things you do to speed up the process because you have to get to the next thing. Because you're spending money to make this, you have to get it to market to make the money back. It's just the way it is. And that's what commercial art is.
Right.
And animation is commercial art. So, He-Man, they reuse the same animations 100 times for every, when you watch it back to back, the way he stands up and runs, it's the same.
A couple of the shows on Netflix that talk about like the history of He-Man, talk about that. And the company they hired, they got it cheap because they wanted it cheap. Yeah, they knocked out 65 episodes for almost nothing. And it was reusing it's the same He-Man run every time. They barely changed a lot. They changed stuff up here and there, but a lot of the
Skeletor. Skeletor, they used the same. When Skeletor got up, it was the exact same body and motion as He-Man. Right. They just changed out the costume and the head when they drew it.
So definitely, it's something that happens with it. And that's when I hear people talk about that. I'm going, okay, I don't know why you guys are complaining so much because, it is what it is when it comes to this stuff here. And for me, is you want good animation, but you want story too. And if you don't have good story, I don't care how beautiful the animation is. The story sucks. It sucks.
Yeah. The purpose of any movie is to tell a story.
Yeah.
Whether it's animation, live action, CGI, whatever, the purpose is to tell the story. And that's just simply the vehicle to tell the story. It's not about, did you draw that particular frame from scratch or did you reuse something? It's stop.
Right. So I thought I'd share this real quick. Over the weekend, did the Baltimore Comic-Con.
Yeah. He went to the Comic-Con because you were there, I heard, to meet you.
Yes. John Leguizamo. Got a chance to meet him. Great guy. Taller than I thought he was.
Got a chance to meet you.
Yes, he got a chance to meet me. So got a picture with John there.
He does look a little high there.
Probably is. He's also a lot older. He's 61.
I did picture him
And
shorter though.
yeah, but he's as tall as I am. So
Okay.
he's not on
He's
tippy toes. So
61?
yeah.
Are you
So I'm
serious?
serious. He's been around for a long time, and
I
you
thought he was
forget
our
how.
age.
Yeah. And then got a chance to go see where Edgar Allan Poe was buried. That's the original grave site. You can
Yep.
see down at the bottom there, there's the cognac. Even though the mystery person that used to show up on I think it was his birthday or death day, I think it was his birthday, October, would always leave a bottle of cognac, and they never caught him. And the guy stopped one year, even though the news was always trying to catch him, tried to catch him. I think they knew who it was. They let him do his thing. So that's the original site there. That he was buried at, and he's been moved. And there's Mom and I. So just a couple little pictures there I had up on Facebook. Had a great time. We got to see Poe House. Our friend Enrica Jang runs that as the director, and got a chance to catch up with her. Plus, she was set up at the show because she is a writer also and does some great work. So you look up Red Stylo Media, you can check out her stuff. And then we got to see the Poe House tour. We went over and did the graveyard there, which is also like Francis Scott Key's buried there. We didn't see his grave. A lot of the gravestones are so faded, it's hard to see who's there anymore, exactly where everybody's at. They kind of tell you a little bit. Well, it's that's been around since the late 1700s, so it's an old graveyard.
Writer of our national anthem.
Yep. In fact, our driver, one of our drivers, Alfred, great gentleman, was telling some of that, and then come to find out, his daughter has been on The Wire that was shot in Baltimore. She's an actress out in LA. She was in The Unit and a bunch of other stuff. And he told me, I looked her up real quick, and I know who she was. I was like, wow, this is pretty cool, you know.
And he was also the butler to Batman.
Yeah, sure.
Alfred.
But yeah, no, and he was a great gentleman. He gave us a lot of little insights to the city. He used to be a biology teacher, stuff like that. It's funny the people you run into that are your Uber Lyft drivers, and stuff like that. So
all walks of life.
Oh yeah. So a lot of cool stuff there. So just wanted to
we got Kevin in the house saying hi. Kevin was with you in Baltimore.
Yeah.
Sites.
Yep, we were there trying to get some people to buy some books, and and we had a good time catching up with Vinny and Lisa from T-24. I get to see my buddy Emilio. He does Dodgeball Teens, and a bunch of other people we hadn't seen too much at the shows, and some we won't see for a while again. So we'll catch up somewhere else. But had a good time. So glad to be back home. I'm still exhausted though, because I just haven't caught up on sleep. Because I worked yesterday morning, I worked a little bit this morning. I got home Monday. I had to go to a wedding reception right away, and then last night had went out with a group to dinner for a friend's birthday. Who was also moving to the west side of the state. So a little bit busy last couple of days, and maybe I'll take a nap today. We'll see. But hey, we didn't get a chance to talk House of Dragon last week.
Yeah.
So
that, and then we'll talk Tales of the Jedi after this.
Yeah, and we're not gonna get too deep into this series with you guys here. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. If you have HBO, you can watch it on demand. Get HBO Max. They've got some good deals on that. There's a lot of great stuff on HBO Max if you even get it for a couple months just to check out a few things. They do a trial period, which a lot of times they do around the holidays. This stuff I would watch for that too.
And also check with your carrier. You might get it free already.
I do because I'm with AT&T.
Same here. I get it through AT&T. So there's different packages. So just double check it. When you go to sign in, it says sign in with your carrier, and then it'll give you all these different options. Go double check. You might be on the list without even realizing it.
Yeah. So one thing I will warn everybody about is the next season will be coming, but it won't be until 2024. They have not started filming yet, so we know it's gonna take time because it's a very, with the dragons and everything else, it's definitely got a lot of CGI and stuff like that.
Well, plus, didn't they film like half of this pre-COVID, and then they had to put everything on hold? And then
I think I'm not sure how early in COVID they got started. I wanted to say it started afterwards, the actual filming, but they had to put a lot on hold as they were doing pre-production because, of course, building of sets and things like that delayed it. So they were on track to probably start, and then I think it's more of the set building. So they had to rebuild all the sets and things like that. So
but I found this series to be very satisfying, very enjoyable. I went into this with a little skeptical because I loved Game of Thrones so much, except for even the first half of the season I was okay with for the final season. It was really the last 2-3 episodes where I'm like, oh my God, what did they do? So even other actors like the actress Maisie, who played Arya Stark, she said the finales were definitely rushed and didn't do service to the series. So, that was disappointing. And I felt like it redeemed the series.
I felt so too. It's gonna be interesting. It's a prequel, so hey, Michelle.
Late comer here. You have to put 50 cents in the late jar.
Yes. But yeah, I felt like what I liked about Game of Thrones, and this is of course set 100 and I think between 150 and 175 years
Yeah,
before.
something like that.
And I read up about the time just they covered a lot of stuff to their attention because they felt like, okay, not much is going to be going on here. And it's all based on the book. And George R.R. Martin is involved a little more. And he actually pitched the series. And it was back in 2016. And of course, that by then they were still doing it. So he pitched it as another series because it's based on one of his novels, a couple of his novels too, that go back previous to what we know in Game of Thrones. And of course, they had the title sequences again, and you can go online and find the wiki for Ice and Fire, which is what this is based on, and it talks about the different stuff you see in the opening sequence, similar to what they did with Game of Thrones. They changed it up a little bit here and there to represent certain things going on. So I liked it. I really enjoyed it. I think the writing's been really solid. The acting has been phenomenal, and of course, I checked it out after Scott told me it wasn't bad. He goes, "Oh, it's not bad." And I was like, "Okay, I'll give it a shot and we'll talk about it on the show." Because I felt like I got into Game of Thrones a little bit late, only because of time more than anything. And when I got into it, really loved it. And we were talking about it a lot there in the second to last season on Musings. And then get to that last season, and we're kind of going, okay, this is weird. And they're doing a lot of jumps, and it's like they were just wrapping as fast as they could because the guys that were helming it had stopped talking to George R.R. Martin, so they still had no idea how to end the series, and they screwed it up. They should have asked him how it should end and go to that point. And now I think if they were to go forward, which there's talk of a Jon Snow show afterwards, it's just, I don't know. That one I'm a little more leery of again. So
yeah, that one I was just looking up. So it's not officially greenlit. They did some early development stuff that got leaked, but it hasn't gone beyond that. Some of the rumors were they were only looking at doing 1 or 2 seasons only, just to tell, I think what they might be trying to do what Dexter did, where the finale was very unsatisfying to fans, and they just years later, it's like, we have to redeem this character. And so they came out with 1 season of Dexter for Showtime, which I really liked as a Dexter fan. I felt like it did redeem the character and overcame the bad ending that they originally had. So it sounds like that's the kind of thing they might be exploring, but nobody's cast to this. It's just like the earliest stages of development. It sounds like the last update was October 24th. So nothing new there, but with the popular, the better House of Dragon does, the more the chance of that would happen.
Yeah, and then so again, right now I'm not really that excited about that even. Just again, that's the way how Game of Thrones ended. So, but a lot of good actors. Of course, Matt Smith has been phenomenal in this. Rhys Ifans plays Sir Otto Hightower throughout the whole thing. I liked him in The Replacements. He was the kicker, Nigel. He was way. And had some of the best lines of that whole movie. He's a good actor, though. He's been in a lot of stuff over the years.
To me, he looks like maybe he is the same actor. He looks like the actor who always plays a Russian character too. He like in Armageddon, and was it Armageddon or? Oh
no, I know who you're talking about. And that guy is, I believe, is an actual Russian actor. No, he's been.
Oh, is he?
He's Rhys is a British actor. British, Irish, or let me see where he's from here.
He looks a lot like that guy. I think
he's from Wales, so he's Welsh. Okay. That's what it was. And even they use that in the Replacements, because they make fun of, they call him Mick, and he goes, "I'm not Mick, I'm bloody Welsh." And that's so a lot of great stuff. But if you go back, he was like a Notting Hill. He was actually really funny in that one. He played Dr. Kirk Connors in Amazing Spider-Man.
Okay,
so that's where you might know him from as well. But definitely a lot of great actors. So,
and I want to give props to the people making this, because in their casting, I think I've loved every single person they cast. And that at first that kind of worked against them, because when they did the time jump, people had loved the actresses who played the young versions of the princess and Allison. Loved them so much, they hated that they changed the actresses. But
Yeah.
the new actresses did a great job, I think, of carrying on, and you really bought into that these were the same characters.
Right.
So they did a
And
wonderful job.
like the original one that played, they started off with a different ones that played the princess, stuff like that, and they had to age them up again because they were doing the time jumps.
Mhm.
So I mean that kind of changed up. But the younger ones were good, but and it wasn't all about getting rid of them. I like the fact they didn't try to take younger ones and age them up, or take older
No.
ones and try to age them down. They did change them up, but they found actresses, and actors that complemented each other a lot of ways.
Yeah. And they looked physically close enough that it's like, oh, that I could totally see that being the older version of that character,
Right.
So it wasn't such a jarring change that you're like it. Like I hate when like The Crown, for instance,
Mhm.
they'll go a couple seasons with the same actors, and then they completely switch when they do a time jump. But the actors they replace them with, like you're sitting there going, what character is that? Like I don't even know. And then they act like you should know, but it's like there's such a jarring difference in how the actor looks. You have no idea who this is talking on the screen.
Yeah.
Then
And
it takes you a whole season to figure it out, and then they change again.
Yeah.
It's like,
The nice thing was, I thought when they would come back to everything, it was they definitely made sure you knew who was who by basically have people say their names right away and stuff like that.
You got to do that when you have a new
so-
actor. Make sure the fans know who you're talking about.
Yeah. So I think it was
Even
a
the kids have
satisfying.
been good. They've
Yeah.
been
Oh yeah.
all of
They
them.
they had we had the younger who became queen and the princess. We saw them age through this, but then they have their own kids, and then we saw
Yep.
those kids age up some and come into an adulthood now for a lot of them. And from the younger kids to the adults, they did a great job again mirroring the younger to the older and
Yep.
working together. Now once we get to the second season, they say it's not going to be the time just anymore. We're now set into the time they want to concentrate on for this whole series.
Yeah.
So they're saying we're not seeing too many time jumps anymore. They just need all that to tell the backstory and get you into this a little more. Similar to like season 1 of Game of Thrones is, you start like, oh, I like this guy. I like the guy that plays a king. He's been in a bunch of movies you like, and I like this guy and that guy, and then they kill everybody off, and it's like, wait a minute.
Well,
and then go from there, and that's all. That was just set up to get you into the characters you needed to follow.
and this stuff is all based upon writings that have already been written. So if you want spoilers, you can look up what happens to these characters. If they do a good job of translating it, I'm telling you, this is going to be far more brutal than Game of Thrones was.
Yes.
It's
And,
going to get the Matt Smith character versus Aemon versus Daemon is something that is going to be epic if they do it right.
Yes, and I think we're going to be leading towards a lot of that, and
Yeah.
so I'm excited about that. I'm excited about a new season. I highly recommend it. Go watch it. It left it off on a pretty good cliffhanger to set
Yeah.
up for the next season.
For sure.
So a lot of coolness there.
All right, let's switch gears to Tales of the Jedi.
Yeah, now this is, I mentioned this last week on the show. It dropped last Wednesday, and they dropped the whole current 6 episodes, I think it is, and
Yeah, 6 episodes.
yeah. So I had put it on while I was working stuff here at the house before we did the podcast, and all of a sudden I was like, oh, I guess I'm done. I was really enjoying it too. I was wanting more, so I'm hoping they do another season.
Yeah.
So it's definitely it's a fill-in series. And the nice thing is with calling Tales of the Jedi, they don't have to constantly do the exact same stuff all the time. They don't have to follow the exact same characters. So it's, they'll be able to go through and do different ones following different characters within the story universe, even in the same timelines. So this one, we'll get a little bit of spoilers here, guys, because but it's still fun to watch. There's not too much given spoiler wise, but I'm going to bring up the graphic here for the poster, and it follows on the right there. That's Count Dooku when he's younger, and then it follows Ahsoka, and we actually see when Ahsoka is born. And then her family finding out she's a Jedi. We don't really see how the Jedi got her, which I thought was interesting because I was talked about during episode 1, the movie. Liam Neeson's character Qui-Gon had mentioned to Anakin's mother that he would have been, if he had been in a system that wasn't on the Outer Rim, he would have been identified as a Jedi, and they would have come and got him when he was younger.
Yes.
So
Yeah, I mean, Jedi don't kidnap you, so they haven't gotten into that part yet on how the process is done. Like, or maybe they do. Maybe they slaughter your family and take you. I don't know.
Well, I mean, what we see in the one with Ahsoka being born is it's basically the grandmother when they realize as something happens, she stops this giant beast cat from eating and killing everybody just by putting her hand up, and she's a baby, and the grandma's like, she's Jedi, and then they go from there.
Mm-hmm. So I do want to point out one quick thing too. I'm not going to give story reveal, but people might not understand. So in one of the episodes, this character is revealed. He is an Inquisitor. We haven't seen this character before in live action animation. I think they've shown him in the comics. I could be wrong, but he is known as the sixth brother. And so if you're wondering who this is, he's the sixth brother. Star Wars does such an amazing job of creating insanely awesome bad guys, and we don't get to see them long. I want more of this guy. He was really awesome. So hopefully we find ways of including this character in other things. So, but that's the sixth brother is his name.
Yeah, so. And I pulled him up on the Wikipedia. He was known as Bill Vallon.
Bill?
Yeah.
Hey, this is Bill. This is Bob.
Well, BIL, so it could be Bile, but I would say Bill. He died. It says he died.
Sound like a Sith name.
Yeah, 18 BBY.
So 18 years before Star Wars: A New Hope.
The Battle of Yavin.
Yep.
So that would have been So he probably died before. Well, he would have died before the Obi-Wan series, so we probably won't see him pop up in anything like that around that time.
Right.
But he was killed by Ahsoka Tano during the uprising on Rada. That's what it's all on here. So I was going to pull up appearances. It was in the Darth Vader comics, starting with issue 6 was first pictured, 7, 13 through 17. 16 was first identified as Bill, B-I-L, Valen, V-A-L-E-N. So that's probably what his name was as a Jedi before he became a Dark Jedi.
There you go.
Which we know that a lot of those are Dark Jedi, and even though they have red lightsabers, they are not Sith.
Correct.
So Scott and I have talked about that at length because that's what us geeks do. So, but I really like this. We get a nice view of things that Dooku was doing prior to episode 2. Prior to episode 1, even when he was the master to Qui-Gon before Qui-Gon was still a Padawan. And then we see him with Qui-Gon as prior to Qui-Gon dying in episode 1, when he's talking to him saying that he's identified as Sith. And then of course we see how they deal with that, because we see how his talking with the Emperor, who is his master. And then of course Yaddle, we get some stuff on Yaddle. The only thing with Yaddle I was curious about is Yaddle does not talk like Yoda. Yaddle talk normal, voiced by Bryce Dallas Howard.
I didn't like that. I had no problem with the tone of her voice being Yaddle, but it would have been very easy to write her with the same speaking pattern as Yoda.
Yeah.
Since they're of the same species, I just wish they did that.
I'd like to know. I'm sure Filoni is the one we'd have to find out from. I'd like to know why Yaddle talks normal and Yoda doesn't, because it's so, with only having now 3 of that race of creatures that we know of in the whole Star Wars universe, we don't know what it is. It's like, did Yoda talk normal and he get smacked upside the head too much, and then he started talking backwards, and or is there something Force related, things like that? So.
If you don't know who Yaddle is, this is Yaddle. She was in episode 1 of Phantom Menace of the Star Wars movies. She was on the Jedi Council. That's really all we know from the live action movies of her. There's been some stuff in the expanded universe. They reveal a lot of her here, which is really cool. And how she interacts with Dooku. We see the turning of Dooku to the dark side, and they kind of go through multiple generations here of Jedi, and you kind of get it goes back to kind of like even with Anakin, like, the Jedi are the problem, and his feeling there, and Dooku saying, are the Jedi really out there for peace and justice of the galaxy, or are they just lapdogs for the Senate? And they start uncovering these issues to kind of show Dooku's path too. So it was very intriguing to me.
Okay. I was pulling up something here from a site and asked about why she doesn't talk, that I think it's interesting that basically the full answer question, the first answer to the question, why doesn't Yoda speak normally? According to Filoni's recollection of Frank Oz, Yoda speaks that way specifically in honor of his own master. That bit of information has some fun consequences, I guess. Another explanation for the difference could be that Yoda has some sort of speech impediment or physical disability, prevents him from speaking. But I think if I like the idea of the he does it in honor of his master or whatever, and his master
but like
race. So
if I had a teacher I really liked who talked British, I wouldn't just suddenly talk British my whole life.
Yeah, well, you're not that creature though, so it could be something from there. Plus, it sounds like, and of course, I've not read any of the High Republic, don't care to, but and because they all sound like garbage to me in terms of the writing that. But she was Yaddle's character was supposedly in the High Republic by the name of and it's I'm going to try to pronounce it. It says Oppo Rancis, Oppo.
Yeah, he's a Jedi Master.
SIS. So
he's in Episode 1, Phantom Menace, also.
Yeah. So yeah, it's interesting on that. So it's just interesting on that. But I like that we did get a chance to see.
To me, it would make sense if Yaddle grew up as an infant in like a human household or something, so she learned to speak that way.
Yeah. Now
Yoda was from his
age difference, though. Age difference is if you look at it, Yaddle is mentioned to be born about 450 to 500 years before the Battle of Yavin, which means she's about 300 to 400 years younger than Yoda.
Yeah, he's robbing the cradle.
Yep. So as if he did, yeah. If they're Grogu's parents, so that also could be a reason why Yaddle talks different than Yoda.
Could be.
It could be hundreds of years.
As of right now, we know nothing. Still, after all this time, of Yoda's planet. Could be the planet got destroyed. Could be they're the only two left. But there is still the question of Grogu, Baby Yoda. Where did he come from? Are Yaddle and Yoda his parents?
Yeah, and that's something we could see. But I could see it as Yoda spoke whatever his creatures were, their actual language. So the speech we hear is his. It's like we hear when people that come from other countries and learn English, it's broken English a lot of times. Even if they can speak it well, they have trouble enunciating and saying different things, or it comes out different how their mind translates it.
Well, like for instance, Jill. Her mother grew up in very, very, very South Kentucky. Mm-hmm. She has lived in Michigan for forever. Yeah. But when she talks, it's far, far South accent.
Yeah. Well, if you're that far deep South Kentucky, you might as well almost be Tennessee. Yeah. But even that, there's people, I have other peer reviews. There's an older gentleman who works the door at the Meijer I go to all the time, and his name's Vance, and he's from Eastern Kentucky. In fact, I picked up his accent right away because it's Eastern Kentucky, Pikeville area. I recognize the region from how his accent is, and he's been up here probably 40, 50 years. A lot of those people don't lose that accent because they came up with family anyways, and they just keep it. And sometimes it gets a little lighter or stronger depending on who they're talking to. So, but I could see where he was actually. It wasn't just an accent for Yoda. He had learned a whole new language by the time he's identified. Being that the fact that at 50 years old they're still an infant, they don't say how soon they would have been identified with those creatures. So he may have already learned the language of his people, and then he had to relearn basic, as they call it in Star Wars.
Yep.
So
but I thoroughly enjoy it. I highly recommend watching Tales of the Jedi. It's a fast watch. Each episode's like 15, 20 minutes, something like that.
Animation is brilliant. It's done very well.
If you like the animated Clone Wars series, you're going to love this, guaranteed. Yeah. So what's next for Star Wars? Is it Bad Batch?
Bad Batch in January, Ahsoka sometime next year. They're filming that currently, which they showed that the voice of Ahsoka from the animated stuff went on set and met with Rosario Dawson. And I'm hoping that they actually just put her in, even though she won't be playing Ahsoka, she'll be a little side part. So she gets some live action. She's done live action work too. So
she's been so heavily involved in creating the Ahsoka character and with Star Wars. I really hope they find some type of role to give her as a live action character.
Yeah. So right now we've got Bad Batch January 4th. They haven't given an actual date for Mandalorian, but we know that's going to be after the first year as well. Supposedly a Young Jedi Adventures animated TV series. Not sure about that. Star Wars Visions Volume 2 will be in the spring. Yeah, I'm trying to see if there's anything else here.
Okay.
Okay, they always show all this in development crap. I'm like, unless it's like the Acolytes, supposedly they started working on that. Supposedly a Star Wars. There's a Star Wars Skeleton Crew.
I've heard of that, but I don't know if that's how far in that is.
And then tons of in development, status unknown stuff they're listing here, like Book of Boba Fett season 2. I don't know if we'll ever get a season 2 Book of Boba Fett because I think that was meant as a one-off season series, and I can see that in Mandalorian 3 we see him pop up in that, and if they do something down the road, maybe we'll go back and revisit that Bounty Hunters type series they were talking about. And then Taika Waititi is supposedly in development. We'll see if that really does come about.
I think
but
that's
again,
gonna die.
Kennedy was told to stop announcing projects by Disney. So
because I think a lot of her projects get canceled.
Yeah, well, they all have, and it's like the only one I was truly excited she announced was the Rogue Squadron run because Patty Jenkins would have done a great job with that. They blamed her for the failure of Wonder Woman 1984. Not her fault. That was a writing and an executive decision above her, and so I think she would have done a great job with that. I'd love to see that, and in a lot of ways, it sounded like what George did when he did the Red Tails movie. They wanted to do something in that vein of following a squadron, going through the different things. They could have even done it even post Return of the Jedi, and if that's where it was going to be at, because there was a lot of stuff going on as we've seen through the Mandalorian of the Republic, so using X-wings to patrol.
Yeah.
So
quick side note, I want to pop up really quick here. I never heard of this, and I just saw it the other day pop up as a commercial. Mm-hmm. Have you seen this Star Trek Prodigy?
I have not.
On Paramount Plus. So it's an animated Star Trek series. It's here, let me refresh it.
Well, they have that Lower Decks as well. I haven't watched.
Yeah, so this is like, to me, like Clone Wars level type animation.
Is this the one that? I was gonna say this. I saw where Janeway was supposed to be in something. I didn't realize that was it. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, so I definitely want to check this out and see it. Star Trek's going animated, which we haven't really seen since. I mean, they had the Lower Decks, which was more of a parody, but this looks like it's going to be like Clone Wars level type storylines.
And they haven't done anything really animated good since they tried to do the 70s when they had the voice actors from the original series doing that. And so it'd be interesting. I'll have to check that out. I did see though they are filming season 2 of Strange New World, so that's in the works right now.
Great, I'm looking forward to that.
That should be a lot of fun. And then Picard's wrapping up, and the 3rd season will be the final one of that one. And then I'm sure they're working on Discovery because they're still trying to make that their flagship, but I think they're going to be ending that probably in the next couple of years. I think Stranger Worlds is way better done than Discovery, and Discovery just doesn't feel like Star Trek to me, and still doesn't. And while we got Stranger Worlds is a spin-off from that, that's the only time it felt like Star Trek was when they had Pike on and they were actually telling a better story. But now that they've done the time jump in the future and everything was decimated, it's like, who cares? Go back in time, keep sticking to the time we know.
Yeah, they would. 2 things they should have done. They should have started off in the future. I think that would have worked better. And 2, stop trying to make Michael Burnham the lead. No one cares about that character.
Yeah, they have a good cast, and
the side cast. Every story that focused on the rest of the crew, I loved. It was only when they focused on her that I felt the story was bad.
Yeah,
make Doug Jones the lead. I thought Saru.
Yeah, Saru.
I thought Saru's character was a fascinating character to follow. Yeah, and his story arc that he did, and I would have loved to see him progress up to captain and follow him. Michael Burnham, I think, would have been fine as a secondary character, but not the primary.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's the actress. I just like, even when she was on Walking Dead, I don't think she has the charisma to carry. I think she's great as a secondary, just not the primary.
Well, and that's the thing. And sometimes for some reason, different groups like to push people to be more of a main character, actress. And sometimes it's them too, but it's like, sometimes you can do very well as a secondary character and as a supplemental character, not being the main focus, and still be very successful and do well and stuff like that. And I'd like to, it's like the one from Obi-Wan that played the sister as Inquisitor. I think she could be a really good actress. That role and the physicality of it, stuff like that, did not come across that well to me on screen. And it has, I think could have found somebody else that has a little more physical. There's a lot of other great actresses out there that could have done it just as well.
Yeah, like with her, that's a great point. Is I did not like her at all in that character until they had that scene where it was a close up and you kind of saw the good in her coming out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like had they cast her as a good guy role from the start, people would have embraced her more. She just didn't have that bad guy. It's like The Rock. He does great, in my opinion, like in roles like Jumanji, where he can be the good guy, the charm, and all that. Playing Black Adam, where no, really, I'm a bad guy. It's just, for me, it didn't work. It came across too forced, and the strengths of who Dwayne Johnson is weren't really allowed to come to the surface. So, Will Smith, he's another one. Other than when he's beating up Chris Rock, he's a good guy. He doesn't play bad guys well,
right?
You know, there's a charm to him. Like I said, that might be different now, but.
Well, exactly, and stuff like that. But there's, I think sometimes, and it's a lot of different actors try to do roles that really aren't for them.
Yeah,
and I understand when you stretch your acting chops. I have nothing against that. I think they should try to reach out beyond their comfort zones. But sometimes you have to just go ahead and be Ryan Reynolds and embrace who you are, and that's the role you're going to play.
or if you're gonna do it, you got to go full into it.
Yeah,
and really change your appearance, change your looks, change everything. Will Smith does great serious roles. He does.
He's had a couple. The problem with like 7 Pounds, Pursuit of Happiness, and a few others he did. I never fully felt like, I thought he was good. I mean, he was really actually one of the best dramatic roles he did. Goes way back. Was it 6 Degrees of Separation? I think it was. And he plays. He was pretending he was a con artist, pretending he was Sidney Poitier's son. It was based on a stage play. They did a movie. He did really good in that. But the problem with some of these more dramatic stuff he's done in these last several years is he was chasing an Oscar.
Yeah.
And then the one time he gets an Oscar, what's he do? He tarnishes it by, bitch slapping Chris Rock.
Well, to be fair, he didn't tarnish it. Jada Pinkett Smith tarnished it.
Well,
she gave him the look. He was laughing. She gave the look. He saw the look and was like, "Oh crap, I'm in trouble."
Yeah, no, he tarnished it by not being a man and just looking and going, "Just let it pass." It's
right.
And nobody would have said a word after it. Nobody would have brought up the joke.
Yeah.
Nobody would have said anything to her about it. And they could have come out and said, while it was a joke, we felt a little sensitive, but she has alopecia, and they could actually made it a good towards the cause, because alopecia is a very serious problem.
Yeah. But if he was that kind of man, he would have divorced her a long time ago.
Well, that's true. I mean, but that's besides the point, though. The point is he tarnished his own Oscar, and he'll never be able to get another one because he's banned for 10 years. And by the time he was to come back, they won't accept him back at the time.
He got a standing ovation recently from that whole crowd. I think within 3 years they'll be giving him an award.
Nah, he's got a 10-year ban. He's not going to come back because the roles and those that are in charge will change, and they will not want him around there.
We'll see.
So
I don't do his music at my classes anymore. Oh,
okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a shame because Nightmare on My Street was a great song back in the day. Heard that on the radio the other day. I was like, oh, okay. I like his music. I just, I was very disappointed in the man that he claims to be. So
yes.
Yeah,
I agree.
She left it there. So Michelle's got drumming class tonight. Hey, if you come out to Sumter this weekend, go to the Sumter roller rink, see Michelle and Mom. They'll be there doing some cardio drumming, and pretty soon they won't have to cancel any classes because Michelle's getting ready to walk away and tell them I'm going to break my alarm clock. I don't have to work anymore. So congratulations, Michelle. We're proud of you. So we have covered everything we wanted to cover today. We went over about 10 minutes BSing about Will Smith, but hey.
Yep. Don't forget about our Kickstarter. Go look us up. Crimson Shadows #4. You can get Crimson Shadows 1 through 3 through the Kickstarter as well. If you don't remember, go to bardstone.com.
And we've got like what?
To go.
I was like, we got it's next Wednesday it ends, right?
Thursday night.
Okay. Okay. It's gonna be all Thursday there. So. But and keep in mind, Scott, myself, and Kevin all have exclusive covers.
That's right.
So you can definitely choose one of those or all of them. There is some packages available on that allow you to get everything. We're at 50 backers. I posted yesterday. We're at 49. Let's get to 50. We hit 50. Now let's try to get to 75. So if you guys are holding off, now's the time to jump in.
Yep.
And
jump in the waters. It's feeling great.
Yep. And we hit $3,000. You get that exclusive mini print done of my cover without the logos, which looks really neat.
And if you want to rebel against Christmas in November, this is a great horror story. You know, you can keep Halloween alive for another 8 days by placing an order.
Exactly. And it'll be out by April, if not sooner. Our goal
Probably
is to get sooner. But we said April just in case of any production delays.
Goal
and
is
for those of
February.
you, like a woman I met over the weekend, waiting till the end of the series. Right now we have it plotted through 12, and we figure it'll take about 10 years to get that, unless someone wants to drop like $10 million to us that we can all live on while we actually create comics a lot faster.
Yes, if someone donates 10 million, I vow to quit all my jobs and do this full time so I get all these issues done really rapidly.
Yes.
That's my pledge. $10 million pledge. I will work on this exclusively until it's done.
Till then, we're trying to get a couple out a year.
Elon Musk, I'm talking to you. You can do it.
He's got $10 million laying around by the woodpile.
Pennies.
So.
That's pennies.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, hey, we'll see y'all next week. I will be here next week, and then I will be taking 2 weeks off from Odd Musings, and we'll talk about that next week. So you guys have a great day. Bye.